In the heart of America's Gulf Coast, where the Mississippi River spills into the sea, lies a place where water isn't just part of the landscape, it's part of life itself. Louisiana's shrimp industry has been the pride of the state for generations, hauling in millions of pounds of fresh, sweet shrimp from the Gulf each year. This is more than seafood. It's a way of life, a cultural identity, and a $1.3 billion cornerstone of the state's economy. From the bustling ports of New Orleans to the quiet fishing towns of Terrebonne Parish, shrimping has fed families, sustained communities, and flavored America's dinner tables for over a century. But today, the waters are changing, and not in favor of the fishermen. Rising fuel costs, cheaper foreign imports, environmental challenges, and shifting consumer habits are pushing the Louisiana shrimp industry toward a breaking point. Some say if things don't change soon, this iconic Gulf tradition could vanish within a generation. Before we dive into the storm threatening Louisiana shrimpers, let's start where the story is most delicious: on a crusty French bread roll dripping with flavor. In New Orleans, shrimp isn't just food. It's a piece of the city's soul, and nowhere is that more evident than in the legendary shrimp po' boy. The po' boy is more than a sandwich. It's a bite of history that began in the late 1920s when two brothers, Benny and Clovis Martin, former streetcar conductors turned restaurant owners, offered free sandwiches to striking streetcar workers, calling them poor boys. Over the decades, the sandwich evolved, and shrimp became one of its most iconic fillings. Today, making a true New Orleans shrimp po' boy is a ritual. It starts with fresh Gulf shrimp, often white or brown shrimp, caught within a day or two of hitting the fryer. They're peeled, deveined, and marinated in a simple mix of buttermilk, hot sauce, and spices like paprika, cayenne, and garlic powder. The shrimp are then dredged in cornmeal or flour, sometimes both, to get that perfect crunch. Dropped into hot oil, they cook for just 2 or 3 minutes, long enough to turn golden, but short enough to stay tender and juicy inside. The bread is just as important. New Orleans French bread has a crisp, flaky crust and a soft, airy center that absorbs the flavors without getting soggy. The roll is sliced, slathered with mayonnaise or remoulade, and layered with lettuce, tomato, and pickles. The shrimp are piled high, so many they spill out the sides, and the sandwich is served hot, often wrapped in paper to keep everything together. For locals, a shrimp po' boy isn't just lunch, it's a celebration of the Gulf itself, of the fishermen who brave long nights on the water, the processors who prepare the catch, and the cooks who transform it into something unforgettable. Once the shrimp are off the boats, the race against time begins. Shrimp spoil quickly, and every hour counts in getting them from the Gulf to the plate. Processing plants in Louisiana are the backbone of the shrimp supply chain. There where the catch is weighed, sorted, cleaned, and packaged, often within hours of being unloaded. When the boats dock, the shrimp are typically stored in ice to keep them fresh. At the plant, the first step is sorting by size. Shrimp are sold in count per pound. For example, 16 by 20 means there are 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. Larger shrimp fetch a higher price, so sorting is critical. Next comes heading and peeling. In smaller facilities, this can be done by hand, with workers quickly snapping off heads and removing shells. Larger processors may use machines that can peel thousands of shrimp per hour, though many still rely on human precision for delicate handling. Some shrimp are sold raw and whole, while others are deveined, cooked, or even breaded for ready-to-eat products.
After processing, the shrimp are flash frozen or packed in ice, labeled for traceability, and shipped to markets, restaurants, and distributors. It's an intense, fast-moving operation that requires strict food safety protocols. But for many processors, there's another challenge: labor. Processing shrimp is physically demanding, seasonal work, and finding enough workers, especially in smaller coastal towns, is increasingly difficult. This labor shortage, combined with rising operational costs, is squeezing margins for plants that are already under pressure from cheaper imported shrimp.
From the outside, running a shrimp boat might look like a romantic life. Sunsets over the water, fresh seafood every day, the independence of working for yourself. But in reality, it's one of the most grueling jobs on the Gulf Coast. A typical shrimping trip can last anywhere from a single night to several weeks, depending on the season and the catch. Crews work long hours, often 18 hours a day, hauling in heavy nets, sorting shrimp from bycatch, and icing down the haul. The work is physical, repetitive, and performed in all weather conditions, from sweltering summer heat to storms that roll in without warning. Then there's the cost. Running a shrimp boat isn't cheap. Diesel fuel alone can cost thousands of dollars per trip. Add in maintenance, gear repairs, licenses, and crew wages, and many captains find themselves barely breaking even. On top of that, the Gulf's shrimp population is vulnerable to environmental changes. Hurricanes can damage shrimp habitats, and freshwater from river diversions can alter salinity levels, pushing shrimp away from traditional fishing grounds. It's a high-risk, high-reward business, except these days, the rewards are shrinking. Perhaps the biggest threat to Louisiana's shrimp industry doesn't come from the Gulf at all, but from overseas. In the last few decades, imported shrimp, primarily from countries like India, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Ecuador, has flooded the U.S. market. Today, over 90% of the shrimp eaten in America is imported. That's a staggering shift from the days when Gulf shrimp dominated American tables. Imported shrimp is often farm-raised, which allows it to be produced more cheaply than wild-caught Gulf shrimp. In many cases, foreign producers can sell shrimp at prices far below what Louisiana fishermen need just to cover costs. While imports provide Americans with year-round, affordable shrimp, they've driven market prices down so much that many Gulf shrimpers can't compete. Some argue that imported shrimp doesn't always meet the same environmental or labor standards, and there have been controversies over antibiotic use and sustainability. For Louisiana fishermen, it feels like a fight they can't win, competing against a global supply chain that can undercut them at every turn. And as more boats tie up for good, the risk grows that the knowledge, culture, and flavor of Louisiana shrimping will disappear forever. The story of Louisiana shrimp is the story of resilience, a community bound by water, tradition, and a love for the catch. But resilience has its limits. Unless something changes, the state's $1.3 billion shrimp industry may soon be little more than a memory, told in old photographs, faded newspaper clippings, and the last few bites of a po' boy. For now, the boats still go out, the nets still come in, and the Gulf still gives. But the tides of change are rising, and time is running out.